Hello and welcome to this CNBC Africa's special broadcast of a panel conversation on taking your business online in Nigeria. I'm Wole Famurewa, and thank you very much for joining us today. Well over $200 million has been invested in online businesses in Nigeria over the last 3 years. That tells us about the growth opportunity that a lot of private equity and venture capitalists are seeing in this space. And over the next 30 minutes, we'll be discussing the opportunity and how businesses can go online in this country. Joining me for that conversation is a very distinguished panel, starting with Jola Aderemi. She's the regional lead business development at Google Nigeria. We'll also be speaking to Jason Orayekwa. He's the head key accounts unit at Red Star Express. He, of course, will be sharing the perspective of a logistics person and the importance of logistics in taking businesses online in Nigeria. Also joining us for this conversation is Bidemi Ladipo. He's the head enterprise marketing at Etisalat Nigeria. Of course, we are in a mobile age these days, and we'll be hearing from the telcos about how businesses are going online. We also have Wole Faruun, the founder and CEO at Webmall Nigeria. Of course, Webmall are the host of today's event, and he'll be giving us his perspective on how he is taking well over 3,000 merchants online. And last but not least is Yinka Adedeji. He's divisional head e-banking at UBA. The bankers are definitely key in this process, and we'll be hearing the importance of bankers and how e-banking is transforming the online business space in Nigeria. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for this conversation. I want to start with you, Jola, and if you can just share your perspective on how Google Nigeria is engaging entrepreneurs. Definitely the online space is very attractive these days. We're seeing a lot of capital coming in. So tell us your experience at Google and how you are supporting entrepreneurs.
Okay. Thank you so much, Wole. And it's so great to see everyone here in the room today. So when I joined Google about 4 years ago, we started an initiative called Get Nigerian Businesses Online. And that initiative was predominantly to help people to access the web or to have a web presence for the very first time. At that time, there were very few businesses online, even fewer people online, and there were very few local domains. But our job then was to kind of catalyze that ecosystem and to make sure that people were kind of understanding the benefits of actually running businesses online. Fast forward to 4 years today, that has changed dramatically in terms of businesses being online. And thanks to businesses like Webmall that is helping merchants to actually have that kind of web presence. That project has since evolved, and now we're no longer working with helping businesses to get online for the first time, but other than that, we're helping them to succeed online. So because what we found out is once the businesses were online, everybody just got online, and then they didn't know what to do with it. Online became another business card. So if you have a website, yes, I have a website address, or I have a business listing, or I sell like a bad guy on Webmall. That's the kind of thing you hear from people. So we realized that businesses now need to understand, how do you succeed? How do you make money online? Not another business card, not another thing to flaunt, to tell people you have, but something that is actually going to generate revenue. And in doing that, we're working with local entrepreneurs. So also we have programs to empower local entrepreneurs, local people to actually understand digital marketing and understand the power of digital and help others to go online. So in one sense, we're creating digital entrepreneurs and we're helping people.
How many people have you engaged up to this point? Can you just give us a progress report if you like?
So, I mean, I can't speak specifically on the numbers, but in terms of, we've engaged almost 1,000 of such people. So we do all sorts of training programs. One was, which we ran earlier this year and last year, which called Digital Business Management Program, and basically was to help people that wanted to start digital businesses to understand what it means to start a digital business. And even if you didn't want to start a digital business, you just wanted to understand what digital is all about. If a digital person or a social media manager or a Webmall is coming to you to sell you digital products, for you to be able to understand what exactly they're selling and the benefits of that to your business.
Right, okay. I want to hear from you, Jason, because you play a very key role in this process. Logistics, earlier in the conference, we were seeing a video about how difficult it is for you to do these things by yourself. So if you can just speak to the value of outsourcing logistics as more and more people in this room and of course watching us are considering going online?
What comes to mind when people are looking to get into online businesses? They're looking at speed to the market, they're looking at security, they're looking at network, being able to connect people from different places. We have been able to build a separate platform for that. 3 years ago, I would have said no. But now, as I speak with you, I can say we have been able to build a different platform for e-commerce market.
Right. So in other words, the logistics business itself is getting ready for this explosion, if you like.
Yes, e-commerce has come to take the market. It has not come to play a part of the market. That is where the world is going into as we speak. So as I said to you, we've been able to open a platform for e-commerce, which will give SMEs a more economical, price-friendly stage to play.
Right. Let's talk to Webmall, because you are bringing so many merchants together, and you are clearly seeing this evolution that is taking place in Nigeria. Your thoughts about the opportunity that is evolving in this country?
Excuse me, tremendous. And that's why, I guess that's why we're all here today. That's why we're all talking about this. So when we started out with Webmall about a little over 2 years, now going to 3 years ago, the thought about approaching a merchant to talk about, just like Jola mentioned, to talk about taking their business online was a little bit of a challenge. It was a serious sales process. I can imagine, I can remember myself going from store to store, talking to business owners about coming online. The moment you mention online business, what comes to mind is fraud. Without them even thinking through it. We're not asking you to come and pay money, we're asking you to receive money. But it doesn't matter, it's fraud that comes to mind. So that was it was a huge step to overcome in getting people online. Fast forward, 3 years after, we're seeing tremendous growth. That sales process, in fact, you go out to talk to merchants when you need to. Merchants come knocking at your door to say, look, how can I talk to you about taking my business online?
Right.
And that's why we felt organizing a conference like this where we'll have people who are thinking along those lines in terms of growth for their business, or people who are already doing it, will have a platform like this to talk to each other and share experiences.
Right.
I can talk about Webmall from now till whenever, but it won't resonate as much as a merchant who is looking to take that step, talking to someone else who is already doing it, right, and experiencing growth.
No, we'll certainly give you more of an opportunity to talk about Webmall, but Yinka, I want you to just speak to the point he made about how the online business has changed in terms of perception. So he talked about fraud. 2-3 years ago, everyone was very, very careful about getting online. Can you just speak to the changes that have happened, and perhaps what has changed that should make people more secure about transacting businesses online in Nigeria now?
I think you hit the nail in the head. People are worried about fraud, but there's no business, there's no commerce without payment. People must pay. The person that is paying, who is a consumer, is worried about not exposing his bank account online. The merchant that is collecting money wants to make sure it gets settled as expected. And also, if there's any dispute, it's managed professionally. This has evolved significantly in the past years, and it's getting better because payment with cards, they have become more secured because you now have one-time password, everything evolving in that direction. Beyond that, you are beginning to see direct payments through bank account. You have Central Pay by NIBS, you have NetPlus Pay trying to make payments, and banks have to collaborate and allow direct payments, which is more like a transfer, which is not as exposed as exposing your card details.
So it's actually more secure.
It's getting more secured. And in the future, very soon, you will see virtual prepaid card, which is one-time use, so people can just use and dispose it. So it doesn't cost you that much. So we believe that will give you more comfort, and we actually reduce the barrier to actually making payment with cards with time. Right. So we expect a lot of improvements. And mobile space, in terms of mobile banking credentials, will also evolve very soon. Now we are paying with online banking details. Soon you will pay with mobile payment details.
Right. So even the payment business is actually evolving to accommodate what is going on right
Correct,
now.
correct. It's really enabling.
Very interesting points you're making. But I'll come back to Jason. And Jason, definitely in building any business, the cost is something that many people would think about. And I really want us to just talk a bit more about the value of the logistics that a company like yours would provide for anyone going online, and why they should partner, for instance, with a FedEx in that respect.
First, I'd like to say that people are always scared of the unknown. That is one thing. And secondly, to buttress on what they had said, people and things must change. It's now left for us to adapt, and how quickly we adapt to those changes depends solely on us. Yes, when it comes to logistics, I can tell you that for anybody who is looking at starting up a business today, the first thought will be, how do I contend with this? Because using FedEx, first of all, will save you probably 40% and over. Because you're thinking of capital, you're thinking of how you're going to buy your trucks, you're thinking of how you're going to buy your bikes, you're thinking of how you're going to get this thing from Gombe to Sokoto, or from Sokoto to Aba. This does not come with 1 day or 2 days plan. It comes, your core competence is what you do. Why focus on what I do as a third-party logistics provider?
Right.
So using us, for example, cuts your cost, because like I said, we have been able to build a separate platform that handles e-business.
Right. And I'm sorry to cut in there. Concerning that separate platform, what I'm hearing is that it's actually cheaper.
Oh yes.
To use that platform versus just general courier services, because providers like yourself actually value what is going on in the e-business space. You've actually created an infrastructure that is cheaper than simply just going out there to engage a courier service for time.
I think you should be sitting on this chair.
Well, I'm beginning to gather
it's funny, but yes, it is very different. You have premium rates. Of course, people wanting to send a letter or a mail to Abuja will be different from someone who has to send a shoe. Why it's different is because we have realized that the consumer doesn't want to pay extra. The provider.
So are you saying, for instance, I'm sorry to cut in again, that just making that regular delivery of a letter is more expensive than when they engage a company like yourselves to make a delivery of a shoe? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Based on the power of numbers.
Right.
Based on the power of consolidation, the power of numbers.
Once you aggregate all the merchants, you can provide that cost.
If you want to send a letter to Kano, I'll go because you want to send a letter to Kano, not because other people are sending different letters to Kano, but just for you. And that's why you are paying premium, which takes care of the overhead and operations.
It's certainly something that a lot of entrepreneurs need to think about. What you want to check in something there?
So since inception, since we started running Webmall, FedEx has been a partner. And so when you talk about logistics, you can look at it from 3 different perspectives. From the merchant's perspective, it's usually, I think it's one of the most daunting things that comes to mind when they're thinking of going online. Order fulfillment. I don't have the capability to do this. Are you going to provide that service for me? They want that assurance before they give you a nod that they actually want to take their business online. The second thing is cost, which ties to scale that he's talking about. Because they've been in business for a long time, I see FedEx as a retail logistic business because they have so many men on the field. They have they're servicing so many businesses already. They're able to leverage that scale, and it reduces the cost to the end user. And then the last one is the customer itself, who is buying from the platform, wants to be assured that they are working with a known logistic organization, that when I place an order and I pay money, I'm not just waiting, I know that I have some level of assurance that my goods is going to come to me. So when you tie the 3 together, you see the dynamics of how people look at logistics when they think about e-commerce.
Very useful point you're making there. Jola, I wanted to actually bring you in and just talk about the cost of even going online, because Google has been helping a lot of businesses do that. And that's another thing that I think will scare a lot of people. He, for instance, mentioned that you can actually do this off your phone and run a business off your phone. Can you just speak to how expensive it is to get online? Is it really as difficult as maybe people may think it is?
So the simple answer is no. So there's so many free platforms, and I think we also need to understand for businesses in the room, they need to understand if you're going online, you need to understand what kind of business are you doing and what kind of presence do you need online. So sometimes people come to me and say, I have to build a website. I'm just going to build a website. And I'm like, what do you do? Why do you need a website? Like, just refer me to somebody that can build a website. But you probably don't need a website. Depending on the business that you're running, you might actually just need a business listing, or you might need a merchant store, right? Which a lot of those are already free. Right? So, or you might need a listing as well. Listings are free. Or you might need a proper website. And then there are also scales of website. And I always tell entrepreneurs and businesses, always start small. Start with the things that you do not need to pay money for, or you do not need to kind of, cough out a lot of cash to do. So use the free platforms out there, use the very low cost platforms out there. Webmall is there if you're a merchant, if you're selling the physical product, Webmall is there. If you're a services company, you can also list on their platform, and you can list on other listings platforms as well. You can use platforms like even Google platforms like Google My Business. So we have a platform called Google My Business, and basically it's I would like to call it like it's not a website, but it's kind of a presence, right? That gives the outside world or the online world every information about your business, and you can also interact with your customers on that platform. So I would say, the cost is minimal, depending on what stage you are. Obviously, as your business progresses, as you grow, you might get to the point where you are now into, as an SME, you're now into branding, and you want to talk about your business, your corporate image. Then you need an expensive or a more costly website, which is not a lot.
Well, let's talk about speed, though, and maybe we can speak to Wole on this point. If I'm a business person that I think I want to go online, I want to move from brick and mortar, and I come to you, how quickly can I get online? I mean, given the support that the likes of Webmall will provide.
Instant.
Instant means today.
Instant means next minute, actually. It's that fast. But technology is one thing, business readiness is another thing. So from a technology standpoint, there are tools like Webmall that allows you to, you register your store is active and ready for customers to see. But as a business, I think you need to look at your readiness. Do I have enough inventory? How do I sync my inventory online with the ones in my store, such that when somebody buys on Webmall, I don't say, oh, I've run out of it, I don't have it. It becomes a problem to the customer. How do can I get things ready quickly so that when FedEx shows up at my door to pick up the item, I can give them the item. So I think as a business, businesses need to ask themselves that question first and be certain that they're ready to go online. But the technology bit is there, it's already done. They can be, you can be online today.
Yinka, do you want to speak to that point? He made some very interesting points about being ready to go online. And from your interaction with businesses, can you just speak to that point as well?
Yes, the business definitely must be ready in terms of how the catalog, inventory, and the pricing. Because the worst thing you want to do is customer has paid online and you cannot deliver. And that is why you see that 90% of the payments of commerce done online is still through POS on delivery, because people don't trust that after I ordered for it, I can get money back quickly because of the turnaround time around refunding customers. So you see that people have more confidence after they've chosen the objects of what they want to buy online, that you said you have it, when it's delivered, I will pay. So you are seeing that, but I hope that will kind of drop with time as the small merchants develop expertise and knowledge of how to manage online businesses.
All right. We need to begin to round up now, but okay. Well, a quick point on that.
Readiness is sometimes there's a huge transformation and growth that the business has to be able to support. So you sell 10 goods, 10 products per day in your store. You go online, because of the nature of your goods, people really want them, they're looking for them. You grow 10 times that per day. So it goes from 10 to 100. Are you ready to fulfill? It becomes a problem. We've had experiences where merchant has called to say, can I shut down my store for a little bit? I can't meet up with the demand. So that's the reality of actually going online, and businesses should
because it really spreads you out there. Everyone
exactly.
pretty much
Everyone can see you,
can get in
literally,
and engage.
You know, what I said before about businesses treating online as a business card. Online is not another business card. It can take your business from 0 to 1,000 in 2 seconds, or it can take you, take you gradually up that ladder. So you need to kind of be aware of what you're doing when you're going online, and as everyone has said, be ready to fulfill.
Right. Order fulfillment is a major part, integral part of e-commerce business, and that's why we've been able to reduce cost by saving you the cost for inventory management, whereby you probably might leave your wares with the merchants, and rather than having a warehouse where you have to keep them, pay for warehousing, you pay for the people who will manage the inventory. But with technology, we know when those orders are placed. We pick from your merchants and straight to delivery.
Right. Interesting point you're making on technology there, but
I would just like to say that, I mean, in support of what my colleagues have said, around getting online and your business getting transformed within minutes, to logistics, where you have to either call each other, the customer has to call the merchant has to reach the customer. Sometimes merchants, have to reach each other, customers have to reach each other. We provide those solutions to be able to enable you talk easily at affordable rate. He also talked about cost. So we have looked at businesses, and what we have done is to create special solutions for small businesses, which we call Easy Business. The essence of doing that is to be able to reduce your cost as much as possible. The solutions are tailored towards lowering cost for anybody who does business as a group. So as long as you're within a group, you want a business concern, once you get on those packages, both for voice and internet, you get very low rates. And when I say very low rates, I'm talking about 1,000 naira a month, for example, and you can get your business online. You can talk to as many people as you need to talk to. So I'll advise everyone to actually get into this online business as quickly as possible. Get your business exposed. Some of the statistics we've seen shows that by the end of 2016, this will be about almost a 200 billion naira business in Nigeria. I mean, businesses that trade online, basically. So I think it's time for everybody to actually get their businesses, online.
Well, the evolution is happening, and we'll continue this conversation, but thank you so much to my panelists. Of course, we've been talking about how to take your business online in Nigeria. We'll continue the conversation right after the break. Welcome back to our conversation around building a sustainable business online in Nigeria. Continue this conversation at the Connect Commerce Conference hosted by Webmall in Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us. I will continue this conversation with our panel, and still joining us is Jola Aderemi Makinde, Regional Lead, Business Development at Google Nigeria. We also have Wole Farun, the founder of Webmall, and we also have joining us in this segment Sukomi Olowo, Head SME and Value Chain Banking at EcoBank Nigeria. We're also joining us for this segment as well is Omo Ugowe, Investment Manager at Synergy Capital, which of course is a private equity company that is also invested in this space. And last but not least, staying with us is Yinka Adedeji, Divisional Head E-Banking at UBA. Thank you so much for staying with us and discussing this very interesting segment. Omo, I really want to start with you because you have the money. So private equity is definitely getting into this space. I understand about $200 million has come into online businesses over the last 3 years. What do you look for? Because quite a few people in this room and also watching will be hoping to attract some of that capital. So tell us what attracts you to the online space.
What
Transition is really broken down into two broad concepts. The first one is the market, the second one is the team. When you talk of market, you need to show that is there a market for it? Is there a demand for it? Is it profitable? Is it profitable? And is a team, can we make money from it? Then the other thing is the team, because once you have the market, you need to find out, okay, the person you are backing, because what we usually do is we back the sponsors, we are the entrepreneurs. So thinking that does he have a full team, meaning that does he have a marketing person, operation, CFO? Because the way we look at it, it's sort of like it's like building a house and you forget to put a door. So you need to have the front office person as well as the back office person. Right.
So those are just the two things we look for.
Right.
There has to be a market, there has to be a clear path to profitability, then also a team.
Right.
Because you back teams, not really companies.
Right. You make an interesting point that you really have to construct the company properly to run as a unit. Yeah. And Sukomi, I don't know if you want to speak to that point, because you're involved in SME and value chain banking. Your experience with small businesses in Nigeria, is this a typical missing part of the puzzle, the structures and operational structure to take these businesses forward?
Quite a lot of small businesses forget some basic ingredients that can make their business to function. First and foremost, you must understand that your business must have a life of its own. That means there's a separation between you, the person, and the business. Now, when you have that clear separation, it gives you the opportunity to ensure that the business grows much more than you do. And one of the key indices for making business to grow in this age is that where are your customers? I mean, if you look at the trends and the statistics that is available out there, quite a lot of Nigerians, I think at the last survey, maybe about almost 90 million Nigerians have access to the internet. So if you have such a huge population, then your business, to be able to outgrow you and to be able to have a life of its own, must target that specific sector. And that's why for us in EcoBank, one of the things we are doing also is to create that kind of platform to enable our SMEs to go online. And that's one of the key things we're doing in working with NetPlus as well,
right,
to be able to make that available. Because we realize that on their own, they may not be able to do it. But when we create that platform, it's available for them. They don't need to spend money to be able to do that. And once that platform is there, you are opening them to the whole world. And that's one of the key areas that is of importance to us.
Wole, earlier, Omar was speaking to the issues that attract them to businesses. And I imagine one of them is the scalability of that business. And I would really like to hear your thoughts about that. From your experience dealing with merchants, the opportunity to scale up using the internet, going online. Can you just speak to that point from what you've seen?
Yeah. So to Sukomi's point, I think it's very important early on for business to be able to make that separation and know that they need to put a structure around their business. And that is what formed the basis of being able to scale. The good thing about coming online is that, like we said earlier in the discussion, you can go 10 times your revenue factor in a matter of months by coming online, because you have access to this huge customer base that you would otherwise not have access to. And that's scale on one side. But internally, I think SMEs need to start thinking about that as they go online. Once I scale my revenue line, back office, what do I need to put in place to be able to deliver to meet customers' demand? And that would mean functionally creating a structure that caters to marketing, that caters to logistics, that caters to inventory management and things of that nature. And that applies to the service business as well. I'm an entrepreneur. I am very knowledgeable about a service area, but I have multiple demands a day. But guess what? I can only be in one place at a time. How do I ensure that I transfer knowledge? I train people that can help me scale up my operations.
Right.
So businesses need to start thinking of that as they go online, because that scale is going to come.
Okay, Jola, if you can just speak to your experience, Google obviously has been supporting a lot of businesses that have been going online in this region. But what Webmall offers really is an opportunity for if you like, a virtual mall. So people come in and they see several options. Do you think that is something that can support growth? And do you think it's a winning strategy for those looking to go online, as opposed to perhaps setting up their own personal website that is not necessarily linked to like an infrastructure like Webmall?
Yes, so as I said before, it depends on the phase you are as a business. For every merchant, for every small merchant that is starting off, a typical small merchant, I think a solution like Webmall is quite sufficient. If you're selling a product and you want it to be out there and you want to transact business online. And again, once you're trying to go online, as you said, there's infrastructure at the back of that. So are you able to even understand the infrastructure that is behind that? Do you even have the time to actually support that infrastructure? Solutions like the Webmall products actually takes away all that from you, all that concerns, and helps you to focus on what you're doing while still having that face on the web.
All right. Okay. You want to make a point?
If I may add to that.
Sure.
So the trend in the market is such that you see a platform like Webmall as an entry point for people to come online, but then businesses begin to grow, and in an attempt to retain loyal customers, businesses begin to look at, how do I keep my brand? How do I maintain my brand? And what we're seeing in terms of transition is, look, I can have a store on Webmall, but I can also set up my own platform and run the two simultaneously. And as a company, we're looking into that space.
Right.
A little bit later, we'll talk about a platform called Wole, which provide that service for the medium-sized enterprises who are already at a stage in the e-commerce evolution where they want to maintain their brand identity and keep loyal customers.
Right. Sure.
Like a form of outsourcing, because you are in your business, you have your core competence. This is what you normally do. The other things you're not sure. But why don't you give it to people that know how to do it very well? So it's still the same.
All right. Fair point. Yinka, I want you to speak to this whole concept of going online. Obviously we've been talking about it in the context of small businesses, but it still sounds like a place that even large businesses should be considering going forward. And can you just speak to your experience dealing with large corporates in this country? To what extent do you think they are catching on to the internet as an opportunity to interact with their customers?
The large businesses, they have the capacity and resources to actually jump online, and they're taking advantage of that presently. That's why if you look at banks, they are changing from just e-banking, because you're looking at channels in isolation, to really digitizing their products and making their way to digital banking, for example. The large corporates have gone further than the SMEs in the sense that when you look at the financial side, they don't just look at collection of payments. They actually look at cash management, which is ability to collect, ability to spend, ability to make sure the cash pool, and they actually use the whole platform from end to end, not just for the collection, not for the commerce, but also for the financial management in entirety.
Right.
I think if the SMEs take lessons from that, because solutions that are available, options are available, it doesn't cost that much to set anybody up. So I encourage the SMEs to actually take that one to heart and actually make sure as you are collecting, you are tracking everything, you are managing your spending as well on the same platform so you can see everything all together. Otherwise, you might think you're making inflow from one side, but you're bleeding faster than what you are taking in.
Right. But in terms of financing options, and Sukam, you can also speak to this point. Omo, I think you can also contribute on this. Like earlier, I mentioned that a lot of money is going in there. A lot of private capital is going into online businesses right now. But in terms of the quantity of money, because for instance, people in this room may think that if I'm not asking for $1 million, I probably cannot get access to capital. Is that really the case? What are the options available for those who are looking for not just large capital, but smaller tranches of capital, given the stage that their businesses are? Omar, maybe you want to start.
There are different stages you go through. There's one that's called family and friends, whereby you have an idea. These are people that will back you because they're like saying that I have an idea, but whatever happens, family always back you. Then once the business has grown to a certain level, that's when you start getting more professional, institutional money. And for that, they need to see something. They need to see like a business plan, where you are going, what's the use of proceeds, things like that. Those are the things you could call them like documentation, so that because it's at the first stage is family and friends because they know you, they are investing because they know you. Then with the next stage that you're now seeing some kind of traction, you need to show people, outsiders, that there's some level of profitability, and we think if we invest in this business, we will all make money. So
right.
That's just.
Sukomi, do you want to contribute? And while you're making your point, we'll be interested to hear your thoughts about how some of these online businesses can access some of the intervention capital that the central bank, for instance, is providing. I do know they have this fund, 220 billion naira.
Thank you very much. To contribute to what my colleague just said, you also discover that every business has its growth phase. You have the formative stage, you have the growth phase, you have the maturity stage. So there is a stage where your business will get to, and you begin to think about getting external funding to help the business. Because if you wrongly apply funding, if you apply funding at the wrong time, it can actually kill the business. Now, what at a platform like this, going online, what it does for you is that it takes away some of the problems that a typical entrepreneur will face. You might be good at maybe manufacturing something or providing a service, but you are not an all-rounder in every aspect. And for you to be able to attract the kind of funding, there's some documentation, there's some things that is required. Let me give you a typical example. On the Webmall, or my mall that EcoBank is promoting, apart from you selling at the front end, there is a back end. And that back end, what it does for you as a business is that it makes documents available, it makes inventory management available, it makes accounting available. So if a bank comes around and wants to look at your records, you already have a record that is already built by virtue of you being online. And guess what? What it does for you is that at the beginning, maybe 0% of your business is online. Maybe in 3 months or 5 months or 6 months, maybe 25% of your business is online. That 25% of your business that is online that now has documented records of sales, of inventory, what it does for you is it forces the remaining 75% to be compliant.
Right.
And so what that does for you is that you're already building a track record. So if you need financing from a bank, they pick your online records. Because you are used to keeping that records online, it forces you, the one that is offline, to also have a record. So what you are gaining is that you are not only expanding your business, you are expanding your ability to access capital.
Right.
So one of the key things it does for you, even if it's not that the total volume of your business is online, it helps you to build a business structure that anytime, any day, anywhere, people can actually see what you're doing. And there are options that are available. Once you grow your business to a certain level, there are options that are available for MSME, funding. There is CBN window, there is BOI window, and there is funding from the bank as well. Right. And there are banks that are...
So people can go to EcoBank and access those funds?
Sure. You can go to EcoBank, you can go to any of the branches. We have a system which we call the SME Club. Our SME Club helps entrepreneurs who, if you subscribe to the SME Club, what it does for you is that it gives you an advantage in terms of being able to access funding, in terms of being able to get capacity training. For some of the SMEs that do not even have accounting records and things like that, there's what we call shared services, where the bank provides a platform for you to be able to keep your records, to have access to accountants, to lawyers. So there are quite a lot of things like that. And it's under the SME Club that our Webmall is also coming, because it's a service to the industry. Right. And that's what we're offering.
Okay. Jola, if you can just speak to this point. I think very often when people look at online businesses, they are thinking the usual suspects. So we're talking retail, maybe fashion, etc. But from your engagement with businesses in Nigeria, can you just speak to those who have tried to locate opportunities, maybe perhaps in their in their local communities and build small businesses that are simply just taking advantage of the fact that people are online, and as a result, you can interact with a lot more people. Are you seeing those type of businesses spring up as well?
Yes, so I think people are doing a lot of amazing things. So some of them, as we've talked about, a lot of people are selling, because Nigerians, everybody has a side hustle, we're always selling something. But there are also people that are into some kind of innovative product. So the other day, I met a young entrepreneur that is actually using some of Google technology to have it's called Nearest Locator. So they built a locator app, which is based on your mobile phone, right. And they're using that and they serve it as a B2B product as well as a B2C product. And they're using that to kind of gain traction of users and people actually using the product, and then they do serve ads and whatever and make revenue via there. So then we see people doing that. We also see SMEs that are building businesses of, so to say, branding. So for instance, there's a young entrepreneur that I met, an investment banker turned chef, turned food entrepreneur, that basically started off as a blog writer, and then she went on from being writing a food blog to actually doing cupcakes and all of that. Now she hosts a garden to table initiative, and then she's using all these free digital tools, blogging, YouTube on one hand, to kind of promote our work and the things that she's doing, and she's building a brand around this. As I speak, she has a show on TV, that she's actually, so she's making all different streams of income other than her physical goods, which is usually maybe I work as a chef and I work as a cake maker, right? And I also wanted to also buttress on what everyone had said earlier in terms of funding. So a wise person once told me, any free money that you see, grab it. And what is happening in Nigeria nowadays is there's a lot of free funding out there called grants, right? So talk about the federal government initiative around Jowin. Etisala was here before. Etisala has an innovation award. Talk about, there's so many of them. She Leads Africa, specifically for young female entrepreneurs. There's so many grants out there. So depending on the stage of your business, you might actually be able to get money, and based on what they've said as well, keeping those records and being online would give you access to those even free cash that you don't have to pay even as low as 9%.
We've talked a lot about online business from the business angle. But what we're also seeing that I don't want us to miss out of is what the consumers are also doing. Right. And that can be a great indication for businesses to be able to know what to do and where what the trend is in terms of getting consumer engagement. And Google provides a great platform for you to see what people are searching for. I know that there's a movement in this country among women who they are so much interested in natural hair care. And you wonder what's really going on. People are searching on Google and all these other search engines, looking for consultants who can help them to grow their hair. A business who is in that space can really take advantage of, actually, let me put my business out there such that when people are searching for a consultant like me, they can find me. And that's, we need to have that balanced view for businesses to be able to take advantage of what is actually going on.
Right. Yeah. The most important thing in this equation is the customer. From the customer angle, what are customers looking for? What are they searching for? What are they demanding? And if you are able to meet the needs of the customer, you find out that you will continue to be relevant. When taking business online, when it started with Google, we're partnering with Google, and there's an inspiring story that I can never forget. There was this young man, I think somewhere, whether in Djibouti or somewhere. Okay. It was around this time of the year, it was a salad time, and he has rams to sell. He didn't know what to do, and he put it online, rams to sell. And there were orders from everywhere, and he was selling rams, like, imagine, rams online.
I don't think many people will have thought of that.
So,
very
what are we talking about? So there are quite a lot of things, and the popular Ghana High, they are still cooking as they were cooking in the 90s or in the 80s. Right. But guess what has happened? Somebody has thought of a way of, there are people who are interested in Ghana High, they live in Lekki, they live in VI, but why don't I provide a platform? They just order, and I get in touch with Ghana High and I deliver to them.
Yeah.
There is a service, there is a need. As long as there is a need and people will be searching for wherever they can get solutions, that's what going online is all about.
All right. I think you make an interesting point. I mean, the example you gave about Ghana High, and earlier today we did see a presentation where there was talk about disruption elsewhere in the world. And I'll throw this to the entire panel. How close are we to disruption happening in Nigeria? I mean, for instance, we talked about Barnes & Nobles and how they've got into trouble because of sales online. Do you think that there are some particular businesses that need to watch out for what is happening online? And Yinka, maybe you want to start on that point.
The disruption is here.
Already. It's already here.
For people that don't know, they need to wake up. Okay, you cannot be a provider of service or goods and be cocky as in the past. There are smaller, nimble people that will be buying from you and providing service better than you, that people actually think they are the owner of the service or your products.
Right.
So if you have an existing way that's working for you, it's in your best interest to destroy that way and eat your own lunch and create something else as another path of reaching services. And what you see is, before, bigger is better. But if you look at the car rental services like in the US, all of them, you see one big company will start another car rental service. You think you are getting from a competitor, but you're getting from the same company.
Right.
So being virtually present or digitally present allows you to replicate yourself in many ways. So the big companies might start to think you have to replicate yourself in many ways. It looks like you are competing with yourselves to crowd your space and change your style. So it's not always the size that matters now, it's more of counts that probably will start to take over the game.
Interesting point.
I can provide a real life example.
Okay.
Webmall.
Yeah, Webmall. Goes without saying. But we were approached by a big retailer in Lagos a few weeks ago. They're a big brand, well known, no problems with sale. But one thing they've faced over time is the reach to some areas of Lagos, for example. The Lekki axis, the Aja axis. They feel like they're not selling enough to those places because of distance. A lot of people say, I don't want to be in traffic. And a smart online store started reaching out to those customers. And it became a really big problem for them that, okay, we're not only not servicing the demand from this location, we're actually losing customers that would otherwise would have waited. Maybe when I get the time, I will eventually go there. But they're saying an alternative, and they're seeing that alternative really take off. And they are like, okay, we need to find a solution. And they started talking to us about coming on Webmall as a way to actually curb that competition. So we're saying that that's classic disruption. It's happening at the brick and mortar store right now. We don't know where else it's going to go. And as a company, you think online is where to go right now. Tomorrow it might be mobile. Nobody going to the web through desktop. So as a business, are you positioned for that? Both as a technology provider and even as a vendor who is actually selling to customers.
Just to buttress on that, I think it's not even maybe online and then mobile. Mobile is online, right? So Nigeria or Africa is a mobile first market. So your customers are, we have all this, my colleague here was reeling out the statistics of how many 180 million mobile phone subscribers. Half of those have internet access. Another half of those are using very expensive or very smart, intelligent phones. So basically, everyone is here and everyone is going there. And that is where the customers are, and that is where we need to figure out how do we reach them. Also, just to talk a little bit about disruptions in the market.
Sure.
Look at an industry like the printing industry, and see what has happened in the last 2 years with entrance of people like Printivo coming into the market and basically saying, you need to print a business card, you don't need to call one guy in Shomolu. You just go online, you just put in your details and pay on your business card is on your table.
Right.
If I look around now, if I go on the website on the internet now, I'm looking to buy spare parts for my car. I can open like 5 different websites in Nigeria. Nigerians that sell spare parts online.
Right.
Right? Think about it in the insurance industry as well. So this disruption is not, it's as they've said, is already here. And if you keep your business like that traditional retailer as a brick and mortar business, you are going to, as Ladi showed us, you are going extinct in the next few years.
Sukomi, yes, go ahead.
I recall I belong to a small committee and we needed certain things for my social growth. Before, we would have to meet, review the document, do all that. Now, about a week ago, I just suggested that, why don't we create a WhatsApp group for all of us, and then we can do whatever we need to do on WhatsApp group. So, we created a WhatsApp group, and everybody was online on the WhatsApp. And then the vendor who was supposed to provide for us, we have somebody who is to do the branding, and we have a printer somewhere. So the person who is doing the branding sent out the format. We look at it, put this, put this, put this, put this. We have not met physically. We look at it, send the final thing, this is okay. Around 6 p.m., I sent it to the printer. This is okay, this is what we want, and I need it tomorrow morning. Following morning, documents were ready. And in all of this, none of us met physically. So there are disruptions there. So if that printer does not have the facility to receive that document online, what will happen to her?
Indeed.
That will have been the end of that business.
Indeed.
And you can see the timeline. What we achieved within 2 days, before now, it will have taken us at least a week. Because we will meet, we will review, go back, do this, do that. So the disruption is already here.
It's interesting the points and of course the examples you're all throwing out here, because very often when people look at Nigeria, they see all the problems, the challenges with the infrastructure, but apparently people are still doing things and disruptive things like you're saying. And maybe I can give you the final word, Omo, on this point about the market. You're invested here. I imagine that you invested in technology as well. Your thoughts about this market, Nigeria, as an opportunity for investments?
It's a great place for investment. I mean, like you spoke about the disruption. The disruption is happening in two sides. On the product, because now people are looking at different sides of the product. There are also the channels which is being sold. So usually companies now, they always say they want to have an online strategy or something, but even the product they're selling is even changing. So it's an interesting sector, and we'll be here for a long time.
All right. Well, thank you. I think it's a very useful and engaging conversation. And thank you very much for joining us. Of course, we've been talking about building a sustainable business online in Nigeria. Very useful insights into that. Talking about disruption, it is coming. We've heard examples of how that is happening already. Just run through our panel again. We've been speaking to Jola Aderemi Makinde, Regional Lead Business Development at Google Nigeria. Also on the panel, of course, is the founder and CEO at Webmall Nigeria, which of course has brought all of us together today. Sukomi Olowo, Head SME and Value Chain Banking at EcoBank. Omo Ugowe, Investment Manager at Synergy Capital, Private Equity Investors in Nigeria. And last but not least, Yinka Adedeji, Divisional Head E-Banking at UBA. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you've learned a thing or two about your online business in Nigeria. Thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned to CNBC Africa. We're first in business worldwide.